Welcome back to How This Mom Does It, and today I'm going to be sharing with you two of my family's favorite easy crock pot recipes. And they only require these 4 items. If you're interested in seeing how I turn these 4 items into 2 separate main dishes, stay tuned. Items that I always keep on hand. I always have the barbecue sauce, the frozen chicken breast tenderloins, chicken broth, and a teriyaki marinade. I am brand specific on everything except for the chicken broth. I'll buy whatever's on sale. We do like the Lawry's teriyaki marinade. I do like the Tyson chicken breast tenderloins, and we do like the Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. We've tried different ones, and in our area that's just the one that works best for us. But if you find a marinade that you like, or if you like to use boneless, skinless chicken breast, like any of that would work just fine as a substitution. These are just the items that we prefer. So with this, I'm able to make 2 separate main dishes. I will make a teriyaki chicken, and I will make a pulled barbecue chicken. With the barbecue chicken, you could also change it out for pork, like a pork roast, and make a pulled barbecue pork. And we've done that before, and it's also very good. So those are different variations that you can use this with. So today I'm going to start off with the teriyaki chicken and show you how I pull that together. So I'm starting off with the teriyaki chicken. I have my frozen chicken breast tenderloins. I've poured half of the bag into the crock pot, and for my family of 4, this will be 1 dinner and maybe a lunch left over. Depending on how hungry everybody is. If I wanted to make lots of leftovers, I would use a whole bag, but for 1 meal, this would be plenty for us. And then what I do is I serve it on top of white rice and a steamed vegetable. So it does make it a complete meal, and it stretches it and makes it go farther when you add the rice to it. So that's a little bit of a money saver on chicken. So next I'm going to be adding the chicken broth. So my second step in my teriyaki chicken is I did add enough chicken broth to kind of coat the bottom and to come up a little bit of a ways onto the chicken. I don't really have an exact amount that I pour. It depends on how much chicken is in the crock pot, but I want to make sure that the bottom is coated fairly well with liquid. I found that the key to cooking chicken in a crock pot when you slow cook it for 8 hours and not to have dry chicken is to keep it moist. And I prefer chicken broth. It gives it more flavor in my opinion, but you could use water just as easily if you choose to. My preference is just for chicken broth. So, or you could use chicken stock if you really wanted to too. So there's lots of different options, but the key is to keep it moist, and I prefer chicken broth for my crock pot chicken. So that was the second step in my teriyaki chicken. And this is the last step in my teriyaki chicken. I'm adding the marinade. I use the Lawry's teriyaki, and you can add in pineapple at this point if you want to, canned or fresh. My kids just don't like it, so I don't add that in, but we've done it before, and it is quite good with the pineapple in it as well. I use about half a bottle of the Lawry's marinade, a little bit more of that depending on how much chicken. If I'm using a whole bag of chicken, then I'll do a whole bottle. So that is what I'm putting in my last step. And I'm going to be starting it on low for 8 hours, and we will see how it comes out. And that's it. This is my teriyaki chicken, and it's cooked for about 8 hours on low, and I've shredded it up with a fork. It shreds up really easily, and I'll be serving this over white rice with a vegetable. And this is part 2 of my 4 ingredients, 2 different dinners. And tonight I am doing the pulled barbecue chicken. I'm using the leftover chicken broth that I had from the pulled teriyaki chicken that I did the other night. And then I'm also using the chicken breast tenderloins, the rest of the bag that I had used from the teriyaki chicken. And then I'm also using the Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce that I showed before. And that will all be pulled together in the crock pot to become our pulled barbecue chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I pull it all together. Okay, so I put the rest of my chicken breast tenderloins into the crock pot, and we are a family of 4, so that full bag lasted us for 2 meals. If you are a larger family, I would probably end up doing a bag each meal, but for us, this works out fine once I add all the side items, and it saves us a little bit of money. So this is the other half of the bag of chicken breast tenderloins, and next I'm going to be adding in the chicken broth. Okay, so I have just added my chicken broth to it, and I'm using just the Swanson chicken broth in a box, but I use any brand. I'm not brand specific. I'll buy whatever's on sale. I do prefer chicken broth though. I think it gives a little bit more flavor. That's just my preference. You can use whatever you want, but you do have to have liquid when you do chicken in a crock pot like this. If you don't have enough liquid, then the chicken's going to turn out really, really dry. So that's kind of my secret to making great chicken in a crock pot, is having enough liquid. Now when you do frozen chicken, some liquid will come off of it, so it will produce a little bit extra, but I find that I have to have even more than what would be coming off of the chicken. So the chicken broth, coating it just a little bit, coating the bottom of the crock pot and coming up just a little bit of ways on the chicken is enough from what I've found to make it pretty juicy and tender, and after the 6 to 8 hours the chicken just falls apart, so that's kind of what you're looking for. Okay, so I have added the barbecue sauce to the chicken, and I am using the Sweet Baby Ray's original barbecue sauce. That is just our preference. I've tried several kinds of barbecue sauce in the crock pot, and the Sweet Baby Ray's seem to hold up the best. Also, it's one of the only ones that were safe for us. My daughters had food allergies, and for a long time, it was one of the only ones that she could have. So we use the Sweet Baby Ray's. You can use whatever you find that you like, but that's what we use. So I went ahead and added the chicken, the barbecue sauce to the chicken, and it basically, I coat it really well, and then as it cooks, it'll blend in together. I always reserve a little bit extra at the end in the bottle to add once I shred up the chicken after it's done cooking. And that just gives it a little bit more flavor at the end. So that way you make it a little less, a little thicker of a sauce at the end of it. So that's how I do it. And I'm going to be starting it on low. And depending on how much chicken, I'll cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. And I'll just keep an eye on it. Once it's falling apart, it's done. So I will show you the finished product in a little bit. And this is the pulled barbecue chicken after it's cooked for about 6 hours. If I would have cooked a whole bag, I probably would have done 8 hours on low, but because I only did a little less than half a bag, I only did about 6. And after 6 hours, it was able to be pulled apart with a fork, basically just falling apart. And I mixed it back into the sauce, and I will be serving it with potatoes and steamed broccoli, but I've also served it over white rice or with rice pilaf. I've served it on rolls, which is also really good. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this. And I will show you how I serve it in just a second. And this is my pulled barbecue chicken, and tonight I am serving it with smashed red potatoes and steamed broccoli. And that is how this mom creates 2 separate main dishes using only 4 ingredients and a crock pot. They are definitely favorites in my family. I hope your family enjoys these recipes as well. Be sure also to check me out on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to be posting more there. A lot of tips and tricks and things that I don't have time to post full videos for. So be sure to check that out. And if you like this video, click like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.